Anxiety is something I've struggled with for as long as I can remember. A constant fear, an uneasiness that never quite lets go. Afraid to be myself around others. Afraid to speak up. Afraid how others are judging me. Afraid the world might end. Afraid I'll lose everything and everyone I've ever loved. I never really knew how to handle it. This endless, aching worry. But eventually, it became more than just worry. It turned into patterns. Thoughts I couldn't turn off. Rituals I had to follow. I didn't know it then, but that was OCD. It wasn't just being anxious anymore. It was feeling like something bad would happen if I didn't do things a certain way. If I didn't check, or count, or repeat. It took over my thoughts, and it felt like I was losing control, trying to keep control. At some point, I found something that quieted it all. The anxiety, the compulsions, that noise in my head, weed. At first, it felt like relief, like peace. For a while, it helped me breathe, helped me feel normal. But what started as a way to calm my mind slowly turned into something I relied on just to feel okay. And before I realized it, I wasn't in control anymore. I was always high. Day and night, morning and evening, never a sober moment. It turned from a want to a need, something I believed I couldn't live without. Couldn't make it through the day without getting high. I knew it was bad for me, but I couldn't stop. Something that once made my anxiety go away suddenly made it 100 times worse. And then it happened. It hit me like a wave, fast, violent, and paralyzing. Everything felt off. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst through my chest. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking. My body was trembling. At that moment, I genuinely thought I was going to die. I felt like I was being punished.
Mom. I don't know what to do.
Then everything shifted. It was like I left my body, like I was watching myself from the outside. Nothing felt real anymore. My hands didn't feel like mine. The room looked familiar but distant, like I was stuck in a dream I couldn't wake up from. Everything and everyone around me felt fake. I felt alone, like I was the only real person here, and everything else was just my imagination. I didn't feel alive. I felt like I was living in limbo, somewhere between existing and disappearing. And then I started to not care. I started to think about death. I already felt dead inside, so why not just make it happen? When you think about death all the time, when it becomes a constant echo in your mind, you fall into a deep, deep depression. Depression is something I've also struggled with my entire life, but this time it was different, heavier, stronger. The world felt darker, sadder, emptier. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't get out of bed. couldn't feel anything. I didn't know who I was anymore. I was numb, completely disconnected. Every day felt like I was just drifting through fog. I was scared, terrified actually, but too tired to show it, too drained to even cry. I felt empty, and at the same time overwhelmed by this invisible weight pressing down on me. I had no energy, no motivation. Even the smallest tasks felt impossible. I wasn't living. I was just existing, and even that felt like too much. But somewhere in the middle of all that darkness, I realized something. I didn't want to feel this way forever. I didn't want to just exist anymore. I wanted to feel alive again. And for the first time in my life, I started talking to someone other than myself. At first, it felt awkward, unnatural, but the moment I started sharing, even something small, I felt something shift. I felt a little stronger, like I wasn't carrying the weight alone anymore. The depression didn't magically disappear. It never really goes away, but it got easier. I started finding ways to focus my mind. I put my energy into creating my short film. I started working out. I pushed myself to connect with people, to make new friends, to finally take initiative in my life. Little by little, I started coming back to myself. Now that feeling, it's still here, and maybe it always will be, but now I'm in better control. I'm 8 months sober from weed, and the thought of going back, it rarely even crosses my mind. Life is still hard. There are days I feel like I've taken 2 steps back, days where I question everything, but I've learned to keep going, because the weight I carry is nothing compared to the strength I have.